Are you a professional pillow fighter? Or a 9-to-5 low-cost time travel agent? Or maybe real estate sales on Mars is your profession? It doesn't matter. Whatever it is you do, however complex or intricate, Monday.com can help you organize, orchestrate, and make it more efficient. Monday.com is the one centralized platform for everything work-related. And with Monday.com, work is just easier. Monday.com, for whatever you run. Go to Monday.com to learn more.
Well, I don't see the point in waiting any longer, so let's bring her out. The star attraction, the one you came to see. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Miss Judy Gold.
Just the
three of us.
Yeah, we can make it up. Blah, 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 blah.
You and I.
Hey, did you get me water? And coffee?
I got Eddie water, I got you coffee.
I said I wanted a water too.
Coming right up.
God damn it, I can't work like this. Where's the fucking controls? We're in, by the way, listeners, we're in the shitty room today. We're in there's a few rooms here at Play.Shit. We have the main room where, you know, Seth, you can get to Seth, he's Mr. Producer.
I think I saw him.
Yeah, Seth Neiman.
Him.
He's a Jew.
Right.
Oh, wait, where's the bell?
We're in front of you.
And
right.
this is the Jew bell.
I heard the Jew bell before.
Okay. And so now it's like I get pushed to the shitty room. Like if who's in the main room?
Well,
Patrick.
It was Olivia, and now it's Marina.
Oh, Marina Franklin. I've been doing comedy longer than her.
I understand.
Yeah.
Fuck that! I'm going to scream at Marina on the way out. I love her. All right. Anyway,
Yes.
So welcome to Kill Me Now.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, we're here. And you know what's the best part of the show, Eddie?
What's that?
Is that Hennessy isn't here. Hennessy's getting me water. So we have
Is that the best part of it?
We have two. Here he comes.
Oh, okay.
Shit.
It was really fun during
Wasn't
that time.
We had so much fun.
I laughed. I cried.
Oh my God. So today's guest, like I have to say, last week we had Patty Rossborough on.
Very fantastic.
And this guest is from the same era of my life. I have known him for 32.
33.
Yeah, 33 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
And it's the feeling you have with someone like that versus a newer comic. There's nothing. It doesn't even compare.
Yeah, it must be interesting to interview
Yes.
a younger comedian
Right.
that you don't really know, that you don't have a history with,
Right.
that you don't know their soul.
Right. We know each other's souls. We've seen each other in the fucking...
Yeah.
Eddie has seen me in the worst circumstances.
I knew you were going to bring that
I
up.
know, but Eddie Brill is here, ladies and gentlemen.
Yay.
Eddie Brill. Welcome
Hooray.
to Kill Me Now with Eddie Brill. I'm the host, Judy Gold.
Yes.
Patrick is on the board, and... is here.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Eddie, I'm so excited.
I know. I love it. I wanted this to do it so bad. And then we
I know.
did some other show, and I said, I want to be on your show.
I know. And
now
then,
we're on.
it takes fucking forever. It's like, oh, do it, I can't do
Yeah.
it. I have my thyroid script. Today's my Kill Me Now. I just want to say, I think I have bad luck. I might start a blog of all the bad luck.
Right.
So I go to get my thyroid scanned. And you know how you go in a waiting area and they have the lockers and there's all these women. I go to like NYU women, Langome, so it's all women.
When you have to get changed and put on the paper
Right.
dress. And put your
So
stuff in the locker.
you put your belongings
In the locker.
In the locker. And then I'm done with my scan and I go, and of course my locker's broken. So then they're like, oh, well, we'll get the master key. Then the master key doesn't work. So I just, now it's at the point where I just go, okay, I'll just wait for the fucking whatever the fuck I did in my fucking past life to fucking end. It's like, you don't know, Eddie, I get on a treadmill, it's broken. Then I go to it's like every fucking thing.
Well, you should know that in advance now, and then use that to your advantage.
Well, I don't scream and curse anymore and cry like, oh. So they finally opened it, and I left. But there was a woman who had an interpreter with her. She only spoke Spanish, and she went behind the curtain. No, she went behind the curtain to change, like literally a curtain, and you hear her go,
And what did her interpreter do?
I know nothing. She went
interpreter
burp,
went, yeah.
burp. She went burp, burp, belch. And then there was
Belgian.
it's just it's I don't know, whatever.
Right.
But I did get my I went to I had a stress test today.
Yeah, are you less stressful now?
No. So I do the stress test, and she goes, well, you did a little less time than you did last time. I did like 2 minutes less up the hill because I started
So she's
getting
giving you stress.
Well, I was like, now I want to fucking kill myself. Like, I want to kill I'm like, fuck, I did fucking less time. And I said, what is it?
That's what we want from you. Come
I
on.
said, what
Give
is
it to me. Give it to me.
I said, what is it? And I, because I work out all the time, because they start talking to me like I never work out. Well, you'll build up. You don't understand. I'm not building up. I'm built.
I'm built. I'm past built. I'm Peter built.
So she gives me, I said, it's the weight. And she goes, fucking weight gain, man.
What is the cause of your stress? Is that
No, it's the cause of my heavy breathing after 9 minutes up a hill rather than 11 or 12 minutes up the hill.
Well, what is the thyroid? Once you learn what's going on,
I get my thyroid results today.
Really?
Hopefully.
All right.
Well, they go on my chart and they can put the things in, and they might do it tomorrow.
Yeah,
all right.
But sounding from your luck, they would be a week,
Oh yeah,
2 weeks.
it went. The machine broke and they lost everything. That'll be what
Unbelievable.
happened. Anyway,
Of
Eddie Brill
course.
is
Yeah,
here. Eddie Brill.
Yay.
Now, Eddie and I. Well, Eddie, by the way, I do a lot of research on people. I did a little bit on you because I knew there was so much for us to talk about. But I know a lot about. I know that you were born in New York, but you grew up in Hollywood, Florida. Florida. Single mother.
No.
Well, not in the
right
beginning.
away.
Right.
Yeah. My parents got divorced and we left Brooklyn because my stepfather, Irish Catholic, my mother, Egyptian Jew.
Right.
So they were fighting each.
But
they were fighting.
your birth father was a Jew, right?
Kind of. Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah, I'm very. I know you're very Bell Jew heavy on your podcast,
Right?
But I'm not as religious as you or most Jewish people.
No, I know that.
I didn't really grow up with. I had a little bit of Jew. I had a fake bar mitzvah and all this stuff, just because I wanted to. It reminds me of that Breaking Bad guy who would ding ding ding
ding ding ding ding. Wait, but you went to. I think Corriganey's not talking to me.
What?
Yeah.
I wouldn't see
because. All right. This is a thing. Tell me how bad I should feel. So Corey invited me to her son's bar mitzvah.
Right.
And I'm the first one, like my mother was Miss Manners. I'm the first one to go, they didn't RSVP. Well, I didn't RSVP. I totally forgot. And then I was traveling and I'm like one of those assholes that I would talk about behind their back. So she wrote to me, can you guys make it? We still can make it. And I couldn't. First of all, I ended up having bronchitis, and Ben had a basketball tournament, and I couldn't make it. Right. And I called her because I didn't want to leave a text. And I said, I'm so sorry that this is so late and that I really want to, I hope it's a wonderful. And no response. And which I understand because
she was busy at the time.
Right. And then I texted her because I did a gig that I wanted to recommend her for next year. Mm-hmm. And I said, have you ever worked here? And she never responded.
Yeah, I don't see why she would do that. Same thing happened to me. I didn't RSVP her, and I wanted to go. I happened to be in town, and then she wrote me a note, and then I wrote back and went, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm an idiot. I didn't RSVP you, but I'll be there." And it was a nice time. It was funny. I was so tired in the morning, and I had a card to fill out for Rufus, and I'm looking. I'm out of my mind tired. I had slept for 2.5 hours, and I'm looking at the card, and it says Derek Rufus, blah blah blah.
Right.
So on the card, I wrote, "Dear Derek,"
no way.
Happy Mama's for Derek, and I'm thinking, I don't remember.
Yeah, but that's
Derek
funny.
Being
that's
her
funny
name.
though.
I don't remember Derek. being his
Derek
name.
Rufus.
Yeah, and then I realized later, and then she's probably. I haven't heard from her since either. She's
Yeah.
probably like, "Who the fuck is Derek?" No one calls him Derek.
Derek.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, she put it on the invitation.
Yeah.
So.
No, it.
Right.
Yeah.
But she just,
You're not Jewish.
I know.
All right, so your mother was an Egyptian Jew.
Right. Well,
and
everyone
your
was Jewish. Everyone
so
in the
your
world
blood,
was Jewish.
Your blood is Jew.
No, you can't have Jewish blood. Jew
Your
is
DNA. Your fucking DNA.
Ding, ding, ding. Right. Correct.
So
for
if you
10
did
points.
23andMe,
Right.
it would be Jewy.
Right.
And Iraqi or something. Iranian.
Something.
Persian.
There's Hungarian, Egyptian.
I'm Hungarian.
Yes, Russian.
Yeah.
German.
All right. So you're a mutt.
I'm
okay.
a mutt. And
So,
so I didn't really grow up.
So they got to your birth parents got divorced
Right.
at what age?
At what age I was? Okay,
Yeah.
11. Just before my 11th. I found out around my 11th birthday.
And had you any idea?
A little bit. And at the same time, there was a song by Sonny and Cher, who I was totally in love with.
Yeah,
Cher.
me too.
And it was "You Better Sit Down, Kids." It was called. It was about him and her describing a divorce that's coming up.
Wait, sing it.
You better sit down, kids. I'll tell you why, kids. Your mother and I, kids, don't see eye to eye.
Oh, I remember this.
Modulate.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Patrick will make sure that we, get that cut out because he'll pay for it. All right.
Oh, right. That's right.
Now, please.
I sang too many words.
Yeah. So,
change the words.
How did that affect you?
It was weird because I grew up kind of without my parents in a way because they were very young, and I sort of raised them.
Right. How old were they when they had you?
20. So
yeah, that's really young.
Yeah, they were young. And
and then you hit 20, and you think, oh my, I couldn't have a kid here. What the fuck? I couldn't even take care of my...
I couldn't think of one now, but I do have one.
Right.
But they were kids, and then my father wasn't around very much, and my mother was working all the time. Electronics wholesale, Crazy Eddie.
Yes!
Well, Crazy Eddie's father used to have Eddie Antar is his name,
right.
and then I forgot his father's name, Norman Antar, something like that. He owned a store. My father worked for him.
Right.
And my father was an incredible baseball player in Brooklyn.
Right.
He was a superstar. He was going to be on the Philadelphia Athletics. He met my mom, fell in love. Her father said, "No, you can't be a baseball player. You can't provide for my daughter." If he only knew. And then, and so he got a job in my grandfather's business.
That generation thwarted so many dreams.
Yes.
Yeah.
My father regretted it his whole life.
I'm sure.
Because they got divorced, and Mickey Mantle loved him, and Gil Hodge. My father's nickname was Yogi. Because he was one of the best catchers in little kid baseball.
But he could have gotten a job in the baseball industry if he hadn't. Yeah,
they offered him, I think, $11,000, which was a lot of money.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
that's what my first job. That's what it paid me in 1984.
Yeah. That's what I get today for doing this.
Good night, folks.
Good night. Good morning. Ding, 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 ding.
Wait. All right. So that marriage ended, but you.
So now my mom met this guy,
and
she was
siblings?
Totally in love. I had a sister at the time,
right?
And it was just me and her.
Older?
Younger. I'm the oldest of everybody. Right. And then my stepfather was fantastic, and my mom loved him like she never loved anyone in her life, and you could just see it. And so we said, let's get away from this ridiculous fighting between religions. And
what's his name?
James Patrick Aloysius McNicholas.
Oh, I love it.
Yes.
Oh my God,
Aloysius?
Yeah.
You're full of shit.
Well, that's true too.
Is that his name?
No, that's his name, Patrick Aloysius McNicholas.
Wow, holy shit.
And where'd they meet?
Patrick. They met at a bar. My mom used to hang out with her friends at the bar, and then he told her he was going to marry her, and she said, "No, that can't happen. I'm married." And then, 6 weeks later, they were married.
No way.
Yes.
And she's 31 years old.
Yeah. So she's really, and she loved him like crazy. And then we moved all of us to Florida, and she got pregnant with him, and twins were about to be born. We moved to Florida in August of 1970. In February of 1971, twins were born.
No way.
And then a couple of years later, my little baby brother was born, and my stepfather got cancer, and he died at 37.
No.
My little brother never knew him because he died. He got cancer when my brother was born. So I've raised everybody, all 5 kids. I'm the oldest and raised everybody. My stepfather died in 1975.
Was that horrible?
Horrific, because we moved everyone from Brooklyn where we knew everybody.
Right.
Family, friends.
Do you remember being in Brooklyn?
Yeah, I do. I'm writing a book. I've written over 200 stories.
Wow.
And I've not only have I have a really weird, great memory, but also I've been calling some of these people from the old days.
Right.
Getting stories and filling in little details. And I went to Brooklyn on Mother's Day recently, because recently lost my mom, and to go to her favorite Chinese restaurant and order, of course.
Right.
And order lobster Cantonese. Ding.
No.
And that's my you can tell how not Jewish we were.
Yeah.
You just dinged yourself.
Yeah. And so it was fun, and it was fun to go back there, and we got to see the old house, which is tiny.
Yeah, I know. It's so weird. You go back, and you're like,
Yeah.
I thought this was the biggest thing in the entire world.
I felt like I was,
yeah.
the giant from Jack and the Beanstalk, and I'm like shaking the guy's hand with my thumb and forefinger, and he's like, "Thank you, sir." But he was the guy who bought the house for my parents,
Right.
And it was
he let
really
you
cool
go
to go.
inside.
We went in, and it was
nice. You got to go in your old room.
He didn't let us go upstairs where the old room was. He was a little nervous, like, who are these people?
Oh,
and
that
then no,
sucks.
I mean, he's an old man, so he's
Right.
like, like, oh, I used to live here, so I'm down on the floor.
Yeah, right. So wait, how old? You're like
So I'm
17, 16,
When
18?
my stepfather
when you're
got sick, I was 15.
All right.
And then he died, I was 16.
right.
And so
Okay,
now I was in
this is
charge.
an enormous amount of loss for
Yes. And then I lost my sister and my brother.
Yeah, how did that happen?
My
yeah.
sister was an incredible singer.
Right.
Her hero, she was like Bonnie Raitt good.
Right.
She was that good. And Shaka Khan loved her, and
Right.
Phoebe Snow loved her. All these
I
people
loved
I worked
Phoebe.
with.
Yeah.
Phoebe and I became great friends.
loved her,
I
yeah.
worked with Michael Bolton, me and Phoebe
No.
Snow a gig together. And her and I and her daughter were like best friends. It was so good. And she said, "Your sister is Jody?" And I'm like, "Yes. She's the greatest singer. We love her." But my sister, got messed up with
Right.
heroin for a while. And
How
and
old
then,
was she when she passed?
She was 34. And then she got completely clean, and everything was good. And she did it one time.
That's it.
And it stopped her heart.
Geraldo.
That's what it
right.
does. That's how
Yeah.
it gets you. It's that one time after you stop.
All right.
Yeah.
You don't know anything. You're 30.
You're right. I don't know.
Okay, so
And then my brother, one
yeah.
of the twins, he had a pancreatic situation. The weirdest thing about that was I was having one of the greatest, busiest days of my life. I was working at Letterman. I was running down the street. There was the first ever New York Comedy Festival.
Right.
I was doing a show at Caroline's with Kevin Meaney and a bunch of people. And then I was going over to Carnegie Hall to work, where I had worked before once.
Yeah.
With Susie Essman. But I was, a Jew Bell. Is that
yeah.
what
Oh wait, Jody. Go ahead.
Okay, yes.
And your little brother. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
and I'm just about to start this incredible day. I'm warming up the Letterman show. I'm being interviewed by ABC. I'm going over to Caroline's, then Carnegie Hall. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I'm name dropping venues.
Right.
You know Carnegie Hall?
Practice.
So I get a phone call. Your brother has pancreatic cancer. Now I was like, what? And now I have to go do this thing. And
Hey, how's everyone doing tonight?
Yeah. Ding,
Hey!
ding, 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 ding.
Wait, let's
I
do
brought my
that
own
phone
bell.
call. We'll do that phone call. Hi, Eddie. Are you somewhere you can speak?
Yeah, I'm right here. I'm fine.
Oh, good.
About to have the greatest day of my life.
Oh, well, I just want to end that and let you know that your brother has pancreatic cancer.
Oh, great.
And ladies and gentlemen, here's Eddie Brill.
So anyway, two guys walk into a bar and it's crying.
All right.
So I hold it in, and I couldn't believe it because Bill Hicks had died of pancreatic cancer.
Yes, that's right.
And I knew him well, and it was not that long, before then that it happened. And I know you're gone in a second. So I get through the night, and at the end of the night, I just collapse. And at Carnegie Hall, I had one of the best sets of my
Right,
life
of
because you
course.
just have this energy.
Right.
And I'm like on Carnegie Hall, I'm like, and another thing.
Right. Yeah.
And it's going. I couldn't believe it. And I walk up the stage and I collapse. Then the next day I get a phone call. It was a misdiagnosis.
What?
Yes. It was not pancreatic cancer. It was pancreatitis, which can be cured.
Right.
So he was cured for a while, but then he died of a pancreatic issue.
How
And he
old?
was 35.
Oh, God.
I know.
Welcome to Play It, a new podcast network featuring radio and TV personalities talking business, sports, tech, entertainment, and more. Play it at play.it.
All right. Well, we're
night.
going to get back to the death part of the
Right.
show. So even though you went through all this shit, you had the wherewithal to go to college. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's my
You went to
mom.
Boston. It
Well,
was-
the interesting thing was I was a really good student, and,
Right.
and my stepfather died. I was a really good student. I was going to take judicial law, but
Right.
but my stepfather died. I was 37, and I was like a math and science guy. And
Right.
I'm like, you know what? Life is too short.
Right.
And I was like, I would do announcing of football games or
Right.
basketball games.
Yeah, you have a
on
great
radio,
voice, yeah.
And all of a sudden, I'm like, I think I want to do that.
Right.
Instead, so this guy I knew told me my uncle actually was the Harry, who was teaching at UMass Amherst, ding, 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 Jew. And I love it. And he told me about this little college, Emerson. You can be on the radio right away.
You know that my parents would not let me go there.
Why?
I got in, and
oh my God, we would be living together.
And I got in, and I really wanted to go there, and Rutgers was $2,000 a semester.
Right.
For an in-state. I lived in a dorm, but they're like, no. Emerson's too specialized. You'll go to Rutgers like your brother, your sister, and your father.
Right.
Go.
So I just went there to do broadcast journalism, and the first week you meet all your best friends.
Right,
and
Dennis
they're still
Leary,
my best friends. Chris
Mario
Phillips and Adam
Cantone.
Roth. Mario was a year later.
Oh, okay.
Which was great. You know, it just kept getting better and better and better.
But you started a comedy writing program there with Norman Lear. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Norman Lear had gone to Emerson.
Right.
And I was the class president, which was weird because I didn't really, I don't know how that happened.
Eddie, this is the thing about you. You have resting smile face.
Yes,
like,
you do.
Your face is always smiling.
Perfect for podcasts.
Resting, yeah.
And politics.
But you have resting smile face. I'm telling you. You are like, you exude happiness and joy.
You have to. I've been through so much craziness.
Right.
You know, so, but the key really was, back to the question about going to college, is my mother was amazing. You know, she I say was, she just passed. But she was amazing and hilarious and kept us all on our toes because she was sarcastic and really great. And she said to me, look, you know, life's too short. You know, I said, I'm going to stay home. I'm going to keep making money. I was working 3 jobs for the family. She goes, look, get out of here. Go do what you love. Make a shitload of money and then come back and help us out.
Really? So
That's nice.
Yeah.
what were your jobs while you were supporting?
I had a job at a movie theater. I had a job at an Army-Navy store, an S&H Green Stamps, and a jewelry store.
Nice.
Yeah. So I worked all these jobs, and then I moved up.
And did your mother just took care of the 85 children she had?
Yeah, it was a shoe. We
Yeah.
lived in a shoe.
Yeah.
And ding, ding. Oh, no, it's Jew. It's shoe. Okay.
Okay,
There we
go ahead.
And so she, you know, my sister helped, and my best friend Liz, she helped, you know, as well. And I had a big car, fit 9 comfortably.
Right.
You know, and I'd take everyone
No
to school.
seatbelts, yeah.
No seatbelts. But I really beautiful
God, you were
interior.
such an adult.
Yeah.
I know. I was adult as a kid. Now I get to be a kid.
Right.
It's really fun.
So you go to Emerson and you
Yeah.
excel.
Yeah, when it was pretty great, and then I met Norman Lear, and we had this great comedy group that was wildly successful, and just like real life, the school
Right.
was jealous of us because we were independent and successful.
Right.
So they made our life miserable. So
Emerson did?
Yeah, at the beginning.
Right.
You know, the people in charge of the theater
Right.
department, they wouldn't let us use the theater, so we took this lecture hall and turned it into an
Good.
extravaganza. Then they were pissed at us, and they waited for us to leave. Then they turned our little place into the main theater.
No way.
Yeah, they were. It was interesting during that time. So, what happened was
Because they wanted all the control.
they did,
Yeah.
and we were selling out our shows.
Right.
We were actually pretty funny. If
Right.
even today, some of the jokes stand up, and it was really fun.
Do one.
There was a takeoff on Wizard of Oz that was Whatever Happened to Dorothy. And it was all the stuff that had to do with Emerson. There was,
Right.
the Oz was OZ, an ounce of pot. This is the 70s.
Ah,
and
that's funny.
there was some
All right.
there was good stuff in
Okay.
there. And but there was some weird good stuff too, like the Whatever Happened to JFK kind of stuff.
Right.
And, but also newsworthy. We had a
Right.
news anchor thing. It was 1976, so it was
Right.
just after Saturday Night Live started. And Saturday Night Live, the head writer was Marilyn Suzanne Miller, who went to Emerson, who came to our college and helped us out.
Right.
And she was the greatest. So I went. Norman Lear was talking to some woman, and Norman Lykoff is probably his real name, and he. And she said, "Oh, we have this great comedy group," and she's one of the meanest people who was so bad to us. So I all of a sudden got this. I was so nervous, but I went up to her after she left. I go, "She's lying to you. We have this thing, and they're not helping us." He goes, "Well, how can I help? And what do you need?" And I go, "Well, all these great graduates and." And all of a sudden the next day I get a phone call. What did you say to Norman Lear? And I went, I said, help.
Right.
And they go, whatever you said was great because he's donated money to the school and the school's matching it. We have a comedy writing department. And it's like, oh my God. And, then
And you're probably like, fuck you. You were so fucking mean to me.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought that. But inside I'm
Right.
like, it's great.
Yeah.
And then, they made Dennis and I teach and we
Right.
were teachers there. I'm choking up, but not on purpose. But so we were running the school kind of thing, and we were very successful. And it became a place to come to for comics. So after us, Laura Keitlinger and David Cross and Bill Burr and those kind of
Bill Burr
would come to our Jen Kirkman is another one. Who came to school after, because now you can go for comedy. And it's kind of nice that I still teach there once a year just for old times' sake.
That's so great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Wow.
Really
so
awesome.
It's good, and it goes on, and a lot of these comedians do very, very well, and they've kept in touch with me over the years, and we... it's really nice.
You should get an honorary doctorate.
That would be nice. Yeah, and then I can help you with your thyroid.
Yeah. Yay, thyroid.
Yay, ding, 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 ding.
All right, so you graduate. And
which was interesting. I graduated. Yeah. Most of my friends didn't. Dennis and I are the only ones who graduated.
Right.
Mario
graduated.
Yeah.
Didn't Rosie go she went for 1 year.
I didn't know
She
that.
went to BU, I think, for 1 year.
Street.
Yeah.
There was a lot of college kids. So, Greg Fitzsimmons and
Right.
Jeff Ross went to BU.
Right. It's so ridiculous.
There's 3 different things it reminds me of, and it's 3 laughs coming from 3 different parts of whatever's left of my brain. It's so funny.
All right.
So it was a very, and we started, and then then there was like Barry Crimmins was the genius,
Right.
guy who started this club, and we would go work there, and everyone was great. It was like, my favorite comic on the planet was Paula Poundstone, still is.
Right, I love her.
We would see her back then. I got chills just now.
Right.
And even Bobcat Goldthwait was one of the most brilliant guys I've ever met in my life. And you'd work with these people, and they were
you'd watch
it
like that's what
level.
they don't do now.
What's that?
Young comics. They don't sit around and watch.
That's a shame.
Because we had to wait to go on.
Yeah.
And the earlier you got there, you'd hope the sooner you'd get on.
They do. There are comics that do.
It doesn't have the. It's not. I mean, the Cellar has that feeling. Like we used to literally the bar at Catch or the bar or the area at the Strip. You're there all night with these guys.
Right. The Improv even when I wasn't
the
even working,
Improv.
you go there for your ride.
Right.
And you go there to meet your ride.
It happens it doesn't happen the way it used to. Okay.
No, of course it's different, but it is still happening in the way it happens now.
So, like Barry
Cricket
Crimmins had this ding
VP.
ho in Cambridge.
VP is voice probation.
Oh, I see.
VP. I've just called VP, Patrick. Okay, thank you. Oh, Patrick's on his fucking phone.
Yeah.
That's
voice
great.
phone probation.
Yeah. All right, so go ahead.
So then, I started working in the area. And then when college was over, it's like, okay, that was fun. I need to move to New York and, stop doing this comedy thing. And I quit, stand up for a while.
Right. And then you...
was in advertising writing for that.
Right.
Then my father gave me the opportunity to work for him, and I wasn't close with him. So this was kind of nice
This
to
is
work
your
with
birth
him.
father.
Yeah. And I was making some cashish, and it was fun. But
and
then
was it the electronics?
Yeah, electronics store. And he had this store called Norman's House of Deals, and he was Norman, and he would make the deals. And
that's so funny.
It was very,
at least you had the bonding.
Yeah, and we got very close. And in the end of his life, he hated that I was a comic. He hated it, and then he became my biggest fan. And was
always. That's always what happens.
Yeah, my mother always.
It's like
supportive.
the gay kid.
Yeah.
I hate it. Oh my God, you're the only. I love you. You're the only
child.
one that pays attention to me. You're the nicest. All right, yeah. Go ahead.
So that was my father was funny too, and real character, really fun.
Well, obviously he's working with Eddie from fucking Crazy
Eddie Antar.
Yeah. So you then. So we're in the mid-'80s now.
It's 1984.
You come to New York. Are you a waiter?
I'm in New York in 1980.
Right.
And I'm working first for an advertising agency, then I worked for my father. And in 1984, a guy I went to Emerson with was working at this restaurant.
Right.
And said they want to do comedy downstairs. And would you do it? I said, well, I haven't done stand-up, and I don't want to do it anymore.
Right.
But I'll put it together. So I called Mario and Colin Quinn I had just met, and Susie Essman, and all my local friends, and we all put on a show. And it was really fun. And then the next week I was like, I think I want to do it. So then I did it. And then I was like, and I haven't stopped since.
Right.
I ran this club.
Paper Moon,
which
I
built,
love that club.
Built it just for comedians. We rebuilt the place.
Right.
We had a sound guy who did lights and sound.
Right.
Who would change the lighting when if he knew your bits, Judy's bits, he would So when she would finish the one section, the lights would subtly change to a different color. Like, here's her new section.
Right.
It was very, very creative.
I loved that room.
It was made for comedians.
And yeah, it was so great.
We redid the room, and then
you gave me a lot of spots.
Yeah, I just saw 1986.
No,
I saw a list of all the great names that we had there, and so the names are amazing. Even John Rigi, you know John Rigi?
Oh yes, he's a fucking producer. Yeah.
He was one of the funniest people I ever booked. He was a recommendation, but it was you and Brett Butler. And Colin and Sue Kalinsky. You know, who I listened to the podcast with her. I love her.
I love her.
And yeah, so it's a million big-time comics, you know, coming in and
I had so much fun.
Yeah, so that was really great. And then I got Star Search in 1986.
Right.
And Claudia McMahon, who I'm still friends with all these years, is the greatest, so down to earth. And she saw me at the bitter end one night.
Right.
And I used to host the Tuesdays there. But it was an audition, and I did well. I got the show. I went to L.A.
What does she do now, Claudia McMahon?
I don't know. I talk to her almost like once a week, just like catching up with her. About
and you don't know what she does?
No. You're
such a guy.
I am. I'm not. It's funny with the stories. I've become more detail oriented, and now in my life I've become more detail oriented. Before then, people say, "What color is their eyes?" And I'd be like, "I don't remember." But now I know.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's changed. I've gotten, you know.
You appreciate it.
I appreciate
because
everything.
Because you know when life is...
Hey, with the stuff and the things.
All right. So Claudia says you're going to go on...
You're going to be on Star Search, and I go against Sue Kalinsky, and who I love, and she wins. And but I didn't want to leave town not doing anything. So I go to the Improv and the Comedy Store. The Improv, they go, "We love you, but you got to move here." Comedy Store said, "We love you, but you can come anytime you come here. You're in." So I picked the Comedy Store.
Mitzi.
Yeah, and then in 1980, beginning of that was 86. Beginning of 87, I became a regular there. I moved out there half the time.
Right.
And Sam Kinison was very good to me.
Right.
Got me a ton of work.
It's amazing. You know, the guys help the guys.
They did. But Kinison helped a lot of female comics.
Yeah, no, but it's the guys that do it.
Right.
It's I mean, I like helping women, you know, but it's true. The guys definitely...
You know, like Kinison helped Felicia. Michael's Tamayo Atsuki. You know,
how is Tamayo Atsuki?
I haven't spoke to her in ages, but she was hilarious.
I know.
Hilarity.
Oh, my God. I remember
Carrie
her.
Snow and Ding, Ding, Ding. So, you know, there. Kinnison was an equal opportunity lender.
He was.
And he took care of everybody. He took care of the people he thought were really funny.
And
I was lucky to be in that group, and I worked every night of the week. 7 nights a week.
You know, people don't understand that when we, in the 80s, there was so much stage time. Mm-hmm. Like, I would go to happy hours. Remember these bars down on Wall Street would have happy hours, street fair. I mean, like, I performed... We could do...
I was on top of a smart food truck with a bullhorn.
Yeah.
You know? Now, ladies and gentlemen, how about that language?
We did. There was a lot in the 80s, late 80s, a bunch of us would do the 11 o'clock show at the Concord.
Oh, yeah.
Or the Neverly. It's the Neverly. The Neverly.
Not too many lines because you're going to lose it. You have to pay
All right. So, but we would drive. I'll never forget this. We'd drive to the hotel. They wouldn't give us a room. I mean, or you could do the room, but it was so smelled like mold.
You get $50. Well, first of all, the rooms were awful.
Awful, yeah.
This Mount Airy Lodge, it was like, you know, crime scene. Every room.
What about that? There was a condo in Atlanta. Remember the condo in Atlantic City at the Trop?
Oh, my God. I did it. I was only there one night doing a guest set, and I didn't want to go back. It was the creepiest.
You want to know how bad it was? What's his name? Short, bald. Short, bald. His wife's name was Sylvia. He doesn't... Oh, fuck.
For 10 points and a chance of the big money.
God damn it. Well, we were in Atlantic City for the week, and the condo was so gross. It was 3 floors.
Oh, it was
it was horrible.
It was awful.
What was his fucking... Anyway,
the bald guy.
drove there and back every night.
Of course.
5+ hours in the car.
Because
I didn't want to sleep in that fucking wake up in that fucking disgusting.
I never called the guy to see if I did all right. I didn't want to go back.
Oh, it was gross.
It was horrible.
We used to do these Catskill shows, and I remember one time, it's like 2:30 in the morning. This is when I wore those Laura Ashley dresses. Remember when I wore dresses? Because Sharon used to buy me these Laura Ashley dresses to wear on stage with my spit curl. And so we're driving home. It's me, I think Karen Lorschbau.
Yes.
Hilda and what's his name?
The bald guy?
Hilda and the one from Howard Feller.
Howard Feller.
Okay, so we're in the car. We get a flat fucking tire on like Route nothing. And there's no cell phones.
Right.
And so I'm like, fuck. Howard and get in the Gilda, her name was.
Right,
Gilda.
I was wondering.
Yeah.
Hilda.
I said, get in the car because no one's going to stop if they see you.
Broomgilda.
I mean, and can you imagine Howard's face sitting there?
Oh, my God.
So I said, get in the car. And then I said, Karen had big tits. So I was like, stand outside. And I literally...
You're the director, all right? Yeah. You've got the hair. You get in the car. You with the tits out front. I'll take my my dress and lift it.
So I fucking changed the tire in my Laura Ashley dress.
That seemed to happen to you. That was our story.
Right. Wow. And I didn't get dirty. It was a blue and white law. I can't fucking... Anyway.
Do you still have it?
No. But...
Nice. It's helpful to have a dyke around.
Yeah.
Yeah,
huh?
And then wait, I told we're driving home and Howard and Gilda were talking about. And I said, you know what, Howard, you're not allowed to.
Oh my God! And he probably listened.
I said, you guys are not allowed to. Like they like were holding hands. I go, I can't deal with it. So please no. And he was like, oh yeah. Anyway,
it was horrible. I remember being in Atlantic City at that thing, and there was a guy named Dennis Leary was there. That's how I got the guest set, and a guy named Jesse Emmett.
Remember
Jesse
I remember Jesse Emmett.
Airplane, and all that stuff. And there was a guy like Bob Whitey or Whiteman, or something from Long Island. He was a very funny comedian, and there was a guy named Adam Leslie who was a big drug guy.
I know him. How do I know him?
Because he was around forever, and he was pretty funny, funny guy. But he would get in a lot of trouble because he would party too much, and well, he had a girlfriend there, and he was mistreating her like she was a piece of shit, and I stood up for her, and I said, and I went to fight him, and she got mad at me.
What a fucking doormat!
She said, "Don't you dare don't get in between." I was like, it was pretty escalating to an evil part where I stepped in front to keep this girl from getting hit by this asshole, and she yelled at me for doing that.
Well,
and I'm like, I gotta stay out.
She was scared. I mean, he was going to beat the fuck out of her, probably.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Well, you know about that.
That's what I remember. That's what I remember about that gig. And I was like, I don't think I'm going to go back to Sticky World with fighting. And,
right. Yeah. So one night, Eddie and I don't even know, where the fuck were we coming from?
I know it was 84.
Yeah.
We were in Connecticut.
Connecticut or early Massachusetts. We might have been driving home from Boston. Right. Remember? Because we used to do Nick's or Kowloon.
Right. And then at midnight,
we'd be like,
on the road,
let's go home because I want to sleep in my own bed.
3:30, right.
Yeah. And we're driving home.
You're driving with your nice car.
And we hit a deer. Did we hit a deer?
No. No, you were a deer, and you was a deer.
Yeah.
And no, we just ran out of... No, we had a flat. We had a flat tire.
Right.
And we had to pull off in the worst section of the Bronx,
it was
USA.
And we were... And it started...
We called Karen Lorschbau. Will you come here?
I said, Gilda. No, I'm kidding. We didn't call her. So I'm sitting there like... And this was pre-working on my tantrums. And
some people work on their tans. You work on your tantrums.
And I... was so tired. The sun started coming up. And, it's not about that we have to solve the problem. It's about that the universe and God is doing this to me. That I did something wrong. Why is this happening? And I'm like, fuck it. And Eddie's like, all right. No, it's okay.
I got this. I took care of it.
Yeah, no problem. And we got a tow truck. Remember, we got a tow truck and I drove with the... And you know what? Always, he had resting, smiling face the entire time.
Well, in my life, I've had to deal with so many tragedies.
Right.
The more things get crazy, the more relaxed I get.
Right.
Which is weird, but I learned that really helps me because a lot of craziness happens at once. I'm usually doing 10 things at once.
Right.
And I can compartmentalize well. And if I freak out about any of them, then it's my mistake. You know,
Right.
it's not going to work out well if I freak out.
Now, did you have a girlfriend at this time?
At that time, I don't remember. But I had a girlfriend, Eva Destruction.
Yes!
I used to call her.
What was her last name?
Nadler. Okay, there you go.
Okay, there you By the way, Eddie looked at the bell when he said Nadler.
Yeah, I was waiting, yeah. There are bells for the Jews,
You were pretty You were very popular with all the comics. Like you were not like
I ran
cliquey.
a club. What I tried to do was always help comics. That's my whole life.
The thing was that you were, and your whole career have been in these positions of power, helping, but also the ability to not help. You know?
But here's the thing. I never saw it that way.
Right.
Because, like, to me, I was, in my view of myself, I was a comic who got lucky and had these positions.
Right.
And all my job was to stand up for comics. Like, for instance, there was the Aspen Comedy Festival.
Right.
They put me on the board. And I'm the only comic. And it's
on
the
the
head
board,
of
yeah.
ABC, CBS,
Right.
NBC, all the agencies, everybody, and me. So I ended up saying, these people were picking.
You were the voice of
I was the voice of the comics. And I said, look, they were showing me the comics they wanted to use. And I go, they're not great comics. These are handsome men, they're pretty women, and they look great on stage, but they're not great stand-ups. There's nothing wrong with them.
So I wasn't on that list.
You weren't on that list. And I wasn't on that list. Ding.
All right.
But no, you know what I'm saying? It was a situation where they were going over, like, who can we make
Who's
a sitcom?
going to be the hot
Right.
new?
And I'm saying you're running a comedy festival.
Right.
If
not
you want to run you can do a talent thing at your own agency.
Right.
And they were like, no, the corporations, they want beautiful men and beautiful women, and that's what we have to do. And I said, but you're in charge.
That's against everything that we do.
I said, look at England. Look at the great, brilliant shows, and it never is about looks. It's about the funniest people.
Yeah, but this is
America. But I did do that festival many, many, many times.
But this was at the beginning.
I hadn't gained the weight.
I
didn't have thyroid problems then.
Nice thighs, though.
Thank you. Good night, folks.
I'm out of here. But anyway, so that's what I would do behind the scenes. And when they didn't do that, I left the board. You know, the same thing at Letterman. Before I was booking Letterman,
Wait,
I was.
We're not. All right.
I'm just saying. Before I did that, I would be at the desk, and Dave and I would talk about comics.
Right.
And he was the same way. It's like, who are the stand-ups who have great material?
Right.
He says, I don't care if someone's a big star.
Right.
I don't care if they're this kind of thing. They have this show. I want the best stand-ups.
Right.
The ones who write material in that quirky way.
Right. Like Margaret Smith.
Like Margaret Smith.
Right.
Exactly.
It was
so good to me when I was a young comic.
I want her on here. Yeah.
And humble.
She's the best.
I wanted to thank her. She said, "Oh no, it's you." And
she helped me come out because Margaret and I went to Chicago, and she would work in these Leslie bars, in the 80s, and she took me to Chicago with her, which was her hometown. She's like, "You can open for me," and then we go. I remember it was the first time, and I'm performing for all, and I was like, I said to her, "Why did they have to?" They were really bull dyke. I mean, we're talking like tool belt, the whole thing. And this is the 80s.
It was a dichotomy.
Good night, folks.
Oh, you're ridiculous.
I thought of that word earlier, and I'm like, where can I save that for?
So, she said to me, Judy, when you walk down the street, no one knows you're gay. When they walk down the street, everyone knows they're gay. They're not hiding. And they're letting people know we exist, and you should, kiss the ground. And that forever changed me, because you know how because you think of straight, you like my mother or my mother's share. Okay, it's fine, but do you have to wear your hair so short? Do you have to Can you put on a skirt?
Yes, I do.
Why can't you wear makeup? Like it's that kind of thing, and she really opened my eyes.
Margaret Smith, I was working with her opening up for Buffalo. I had never met her.
Buffalo at the Comedy Trap. That's where I met her. Comedy Trap in Buffalo. That place. Yeah.
And I'm still friends with a lot of the people who used to.
The bartender died. The Italian guy who was so sweet.
Oh no, Tony.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yes.
I went to his wedding.
Aw.
It was hard. It's horrible.
All right, let's take a minute.
All right, we'll be right back. We're back. But it was so I did my set before her, and I was so nervous because I
Right.
loved her comedy. And afterwards, she sat me down and she said, "Look, you're going so fast. You're so nervous about the punchlines getting, so you don't pause
Right.
when you're supposed to.
Right.
You're doing an hour's worth of material in 30 minutes.
Right.
And so the next night I slowed it down, and then she went at me again. Okay, here's where you were doing.
Right.
That's right. And she took her time and got chills because she
Right.
was so good to me.
Right.
So the point is, we're lucky because I was lucky because Kinnison, Schimmel,
Right.
people like Margaret Smith, Paula Poundstone, these are people who took their time to make sure, John Mendoza,
Right.
who took their time to sit me down and tell me the truth.
Right.
And not just say, oh, you're good, nice job.
Right.
And
so
you accepted that feedback too.
Oh, I wanted it.
And that's great.
That's what you-
That's
yeah.
why
Yeah.
you're good.
Right.
You'll
Yeah,
listen
That's
to
how
it.
you learn. You
Right.
have to listen to feedback and listen to all feedback and then take the parts that mean something to you. And some
Right.
feedback just doesn't make sense, and that's okay.
So you're running clubs. You're
I
doing
ran that one club
right.
from 84
Okay, so you're
to-
doing a lot of comedy related work, and you're doing stand up.
Right. I've always been a nurturer, obviously,
Right.
from my brothers
Yes.
and raising them. And I like that.
Right.
So I do that for comedy because, as you know, we've been put in situations
Oh,
where
please.
we're treated like shit. So everywhere that I went, I made sure, people have no idea the kind of behind-the-scenes stuff that I've done at TV shows, including
Right.
Letterman and all these other
Right.
shows, where sometimes the integrity wasn't going to be taken care of. And I
Right.
made sure that comics were treated well. And that, when I first got the job at Letterman, they said, you have a comic once a month. I said, I want one every week.
Right.
And they said, well, once a month, and we'll try it. And then by chance, Jeff Stilson did the first one, crushed, and they called
love
me
him.
up. And they called me up and said, all right, you got a comic every week. And, so for a while, we had a comic every week.
But now you started as a warm up for the audience,
Yeah,
right?
and
had
continued
you
all the
done-
way through.
Had you done warm up before that?
Yeah.
Because I lived off of warm up.
Yeah, I
warm
made
up
a
when it was.
shitload of money
Remember
on warm-up.
Ha?
Yes.
There was the Ha channel,
Yes.
and then there was the Comedy,
Comedy
channel.
Channel.
And I did warm up for the Mo Gaffney show.
Yes. Who also was one of my best friends.
Love her.
I got to meet Lily Tomlin and be
Yeah.
friends with her because of Mo Gaffney.
Right. So,
Ugh.
but I'll never forget.
Ugh.
And I used to do warm up, and I love I
Yeah. You're
love the
that's
audience.
what you do.
Right. And so I never forget one day I'm doing warm up for something. I forgot what it was. And the audience is like, bring back Judy, bring back Judy. I'm like, oh, they
no.
love me. They love
Yeah,
me.
but still, the show's like...
So we end the season, and the next season, I'm like, I don't hear from them. I'm like,
Right.
so what? And I called, I guess it was Nancy Geller at the time.
Oh,
I don't
right.
remember.
Yeah.
And I said, so, no, it wasn't her. It was someone else. But Nancy Geller did tell me, my favorite part of the day is when you come in to do warm up. But they were like, it was Karen something at VH1, Karen Jew. And I called her and I was like, so, the seasons, and they're like, well, we're going to go with someone else. And they said, this is the excuse. The excuse was, you do a lot of the same kind of material with the audience every. I'm
Right,
like,
because they're a different audience.
yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And so, instead of saying you're too funny,
Right.
and it's a downer once the show starts.
Yeah.
Instead of saying that, they're like, and it's like the way you say things to people sticks with them forever. And I'll never forget sitting in that hotel room after I called her.
Right.
And just be honest. Just
That's what you had to do. That's the key.
that's the hardest. So
That's
so
the
now
hardest
so
thing.
and I will never forget that. Well, wait, I'm supposed to write a whole new act I'll never forget it. We did the Brady Bunch. We did all this fun stuff together. And
It's a shame. I warmed up a bunch of shows. My first gig as a warm up
Mm-hmm.
was crazy, and it paid a lot of money, and it was in Burbank, and it was
Oh, 'cause
across
it was-
it was across the hall from the Johnny Carson show,
Right.
And it was Saved by the Bell.
ah,
But it was
yeah.
But it was It was babysitting. But it was hard work because it was babysitting.
Well, when you're doing a show like that, you're there for hours and hours, and you don't know.
And that was
they can
fine.
Rewrite a scene while you're there, or they
have to recut it and
redo.
And that was okay. And it made money when I was completely broke, and I was really.
Were you sending money to your family at this time?
I still.
Yeah.
Saved by the Bell had a warm-up act.
Every
TV
sitcom
show has a warm-up act.
I really thought that was canned laughter.
Yeah,
too.
no, they were, and it was interesting. And then there was a guy I went to Emerson with who was production guy there, and he got me the job there. It was great. And then when I went to New York, I got a job warming up the Dana Carvey show and a bunch of things like you did, and all those kind of things. But then I got a call. I was at Letterman warming up, and I got a call.
How'd you get the Letterman job?
Louis C.K. He was working there. He recommended me.
It's beautiful. These boys, the men,
Well, he worked at the Dana Carvey show. He was the head writer, and they hired me to be the warm up, and it was really a fun show to work. And Louis said, "Hey Eddie, they're looking for a warm up," and this was when the show first went to CBS. And I said, "Nah, I'm not interested. I'm traveling around Europe, and I'm doing all this, and it would get in my way." And so I didn't take the warm up gig right away, or try to. And then a few years later. It opened again, and Louis said, "Eddie, you should take this job," and I did, and I did it for 17 years. The whole time I was, it was amazing performing on that stage every night. I never took it for granted.
And also, the other, you got to stay home, and when you went away, it was the gigs you wanted to do.
The gigs I wanted. It was great.
That's that people don't understand. It's like, and I remember when I got All-American Girl, when I was cast in a sitcom, and I was like, I'm never going to do stand-up. I couldn't wait. I mean, I'm a stand-up. Like, you know, they used to call me the leopard. I would just spot like 800 spots a night.
Yeah, me too. I used to average 500 to 600 spots a year.
It was
before Letterman, and then
it was 7, 8 on the weekends in the city.
I did 7 on Friday, 8 on a Saturday,
and it was such a great time. And then, this is when Comedy Central started, when we had, Tough Crowd. We had all these shows that they were doing. And, Evening at the Improv, Caroline's Comedy Hour, VH1 Stand-Up Spotlight.
Right. Comedy Central had a ton of shows.
Yeah.
2 Drink Minimum.
Wait, what about Short Attention Span Theater?
Right, with Patty Rosborough and Jon Stewart.
So
they all had one. And then I got this gig at... for Madigan Men. It was a Gabriel Byrne sitcom, which was brilliant, smart, and funny, which means American television is not going to want it.
Right.
And it lasted for a season, and it was hard work, but the first episode, I mean, Letterman, you do the warm-up and there's a band, so you don't have to do, in the breaks, you don't have to do anything. I got to hang out at the desk with Dave and talk about ideas for the show.
Right.
Or bullshitting about, hey, did you see that game last night? Or whatever.
Right.
But the Madigan Men, I had to be for 8 hours nonstop, ready to go.
Right.
Do this. So the very first show was over, and I announced the cast, and here's this person, Gabriel Byrne. And he comes out and he says, ladies and gentlemen, we work really hard. It's a long day, and we appreciate it. But the one guy that kept us going through the whole day, Eddie Brill. And I was shocked because Gabriel Byrne said that as the first thing in the speech. So it was great to work there every week because as hard as it was, the cast appreciated
it. Yeah,
he appreciated what I did, and that was huge for me. And then
huge,
yeah, hugely.
Yeah.
Remember Huge?
Where can people find you on the intranet?
Eddie_Brill, because somebody stole Eddie Brill.
I hate that. EDDIE_BRILL.
No E.
Yeah, no E. And then there's the, it's Instagrams and all that.
Do you do the tweetar?
I do now. I started when it very first started, and it scared me. I was like, ah! And then I stopped, but I just started again, like around 6 months ago.
Remember what we just had to write all day and get on stage?
Yes.
And now we have to fucking...
Eddie Brill.
I'm up all night. I was up till 3 or 4 writing.
I know. I texted you.
Yes, I got the call at 2, and the only people that are up. Caroline Ray texted me at 3:30 the other day, and she goes, "Oh, we're up, we're awake."
Oh yeah. Patty Rosborough texted me at 1:30 in the morning. What are those sleeping pills I should get? I swear to God. I know. It's like we're all up.
We're all ambling.
Eddie, I love you. I adore
you so much. Always have, always will. I wanted to do this show. I've heard it before. I've heard some of my favorite friends on it.
Oh, thank you.
I wanted to be one of those favorite friends.
Well, you are.
Yay.
And you'll come back. And, wow. Do we have anything else to say? Here's our last... So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. And as we always say, so long!
And everything was wonderful. I'll see you soon. Thank you for the visit. So long.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with a Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.